So you're just scrolling through TikTok all day. I can post a picture on Instagram. Seriously, you get paid for that? I can do it. Ah, so you mean like you work like an influencer. Do any of these comments sound familiar? Or did you actually think them yourself when someone told you that they work as a freelance social media manager? It seems to people unclear what is a social media manager task, what are we actually doing, and why do we get paid for that? So in this video, we're going to talk about social media manager tasks. And we're also going to talk about tasks that no one should be doing as a social media manager, but I bet with you, you think that you should be doing that or you're even doing them. And if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel where we talk about all things social media and freelancing. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we're talking about social media manager tasks. Let's dive right in with task number 1 that you should be doing and most of the people forget. But that's not the task I'm talking about that I think you don't know. So stay tuned for that. So you should create a social media strategy. That means before you even sit down and create content for your clients, you want to know who is their target audience. What kind of clients do they have? And I'm not just talking about how old are they or where do they live and are they female or male. That should be an obvious thing to ask. You want to dig deeper. What are their pain points? What are their desires? Why does someone need the client's product or service? So this is super important for us as a social media manager to know, because based on that, we're going to decide what kind of platform the clients should be on and what kind of content we should create. I actually have a full video about social media strategy. I'm going to link it either on this video or below here, and you can go check it out. But before, let's finish this task. So we're going to talk about who is the client's client, and then we're going to decide what platform they should be on, and then we're going to talk about what kind of content we're creating. And a lot of the time I see people creating one piece of content and repurposing it for every single platform the same way. Now, I'm not saying you cannot repurpose content, but you have to adapt it for each platform. So think about the social media platforms like different countries. They all speak a different language, but you can still deliver the same message. So if you go to France, you can still say, hello, my name is Nadine, just in French. If you go to Italy, you will say it in Italian. So if I go to Facebook, I can say a certain message. And if I go on Instagram or TikTok, I can still say the same message, but in a different way. So you want to make sure that you create a social media strategy as a freelance social media manager. Now, here's the thing. If you work for a huge company, they might have the social media strategy themselves. And I will talk about that in a minute, because then your tasks are going to be slightly different. So everything I share here is for freelancers. Now let's get to the next task, and that is a caption writing. This is actually my favorite part because I have a very specific workflow for that. And again, I have a video for that, so go check it out. So let's say we're at the beginning of the month and I'm going to write all my captions in one Google Doc. This is like a free flow writing. I'm just gonna write the captions for everything, and I'm not thinking, am I gonna use it for Instagram or Facebook, because I will use it for various different platforms. For now, I just wanna block out a full day and just write caption. That's all I do. Now, sometimes we run out of caption ideas. Then you can use a tool like copy.ai. And this is not sponsored, but feel free to reach out to me. And you're gonna sign up for their free version, and they have a caption generator. So if you need new ideas or new angles on how to word something, go check out this tool. And here's an extra tip. Sometimes I have captions from months ago that I could reword and reuse, because no one will remember every single thing that you once posted. So you can post a copy in there, the copy.ai will rewrite the sentences for you. And then what's super important, you want to have a different hook. You know, when you go on Instagram, it's that first sentence that people see. When it's a video on TikTok, for example, it's the first 3 seconds that you say, or the title. So create a different hook and play around with different hook. For that, Just go on Google and type in headline generator, or there is a headline generator from contentrow.com that you can test as well. So you're literally just gonna create a attention grabbing headline, aka a hook. So then you have your caption writing done, which brings you to your next task. Now you're gonna create graphics. And here we have the next big misunderstanding. Should you actually create graphics as a freelance social media manager? And what kind of graphics? The biggest misunderstanding here is you're not creating graphics for your client's logo, branding, flyer, or website. That's not part of your job. However, you do create graphics for an Instagram carousel post or an Instagram infographic. That's part of your job. Now, with the Instagram and all the different platforms as well, changing more and more towards video, aka short form video, this might change in the future and this might not be as an important task for you anymore. But as of recording of this video, we still do create graphics. So yes, you go into Canva and yes, you create those graphics. Now you might think, well, that's a lot of work. Because it is. That means you will charge higher package prices. You can also, and that's slightly off topic, but I still want to share it, you can also have two different packages. One where you create graphics and one where you don't create graphics, where it's more like a simple posting. Back to your social media manager task. Now that we already touched on videos, brings us to our next task, video editing. Now, I say specifically video editing to point out that you are in no way taking the videos. That also means you're not taking any photos. If you do want to do that, that is a separate package, and that package is called content creation. As a social media manager, you're not creating the actual content. You're not taking videos, nor do you take photos. So when it comes to video, a lot of the time people tell me, well, I have no idea what the client should film. The client has no idea what to film. So how do we even create Reels or TikToks? So this is a very streamlined process, and it's in your responsibility to find trends, good audio, knowing what kind of educational content or what kind of promotional content your client should post on social media. Again, loops back to the social media strategy. That means I personally reach out to my client once a week with a spreadsheet, and I'll share with them what kind of trending songs we have, what kind of trends we have, and then they upload the videos into a shared Google Drive with me. There's no client communication back and forth, there's no DM, there's no WhatsApp. We simply communicate with that Google spreadsheet and then they upload the videos. I then download the videos and edit them. I'm talking about editing on an app, for example. You can also use a desktop tools, and I have videos for that as well on how to edit that. That's simple editing for short form video. We're not talking about YouTube video. We're not talking about a high production, right? It's filmed with an iPhone and it's edited on a phone. Why? Because that's what works best on social media. It feels more native. It feels more like it's a normal quote unquote person instead of a brand posting. So these are things that you are doing. You don't have to show your face in order to do that, but you are in charge to guide your client. Now, again, if you do work for a corporate company, your tasks might be different and they might not let you have all the content that you want, or they have already a clear strategy. That's completely different, and that's really in a 9-to-5, and we have rules there. So it's different when someone hires a freelance social media manager. They hire an expert. They don't want you to just being the executing person. They want you to be the expert. Now, I just touched on trends, which actually brings us to my next point: trends, algorithms, and different updates. The social media industry is one of the fastest changing industry there is. There's literally every week a new algorithm or a new feature or a new platform, and you need to stay on your toes and constantly be up to date. Now, I highly suggest to have one day per week that I call my CEO day, where you give yourself 2 hours, maybe you can condense it to 1 hour, where you read through all the social media news. Now, of course, I skim the headlines every day, and there are different newsletters that you can sign up for. There are different sources that you can sign up for Facebook group, their paid Facebook group, their mentors. There are many different versions, but once a day, skim through the news, and then once a week, really sit down and look at all those different changes and think about how will this affect me and my clients. There's one thing I really like doing, it's called Feedly. You go on feedly.com and then you just simply add different resources to your feed. And I just add different social media resources that I like. For example, one is Marie Smith for Facebook. You can follow Facebook developers, Pinterest. There's so many different options. And then you can skim through the headlines, and then once a week you can really go in depth and see what kind of changes we have. Now, what is the biggest myth as a social media manager? And that is most likely that you are the content creator. That's a different job. Today, people call themselves content creator. A couple of years ago when I started, they were called influencer. Really what they do is they get products and then they film or review that product and create content for the brand. Sometimes they post it on their own feed, but also a lot of the times brands just send products to smaller creators in order to get user-generated content. So in order to get videos or photos that they can then use on their own accounts. So a content creator is someone completely different, which again, like I mentioned in the beginning, means you can charge if someone wants you to create content as well. But be aware that means you need to have a specific location where people can send you products to, or maybe you even have to go to the place. So if you're aspiring having a digital nomad lifestyle, or you want to travel and be completely independent, that wouldn't be a part of your service. That's not a part of my services, right? So if you're now thinking, okay, that sounds great, I can do all that, and I know you can, how do you get your first client? Best way is to start with my free masterclass that is linked below here. And the second way is to watch my video about portfolio. So I'm gonna link that video here. You can watch this video even if you have no experience at all. Start creating your social media manager portfolio. And again, if you feel like I have no idea how I even should do that, watch my free masterclass, like this video if you found this content helpful, and I see you next time.